In terrestrial engineering, it is understood that the subterranean Earth is an artesian well of unlimited power for heat. Now, when you think of an artesian well, you think of an artesian well of water, which takes a pipe like this and places it into a hillside, and the aquatics within the ground and the pressure within the ground, because the water source for an artesian well is higher than the drain point, okay? Gravity and that pressure allows water to be drained off and drain out of the hillside and become basically rain. Now, the deal is that when water is drained out of a hillside or a artesian well, you're draining off an energy source, because water by itself is an energy source. Water by itself, whether you apply gravity to it, in this case, this artesian well could easily be tied to hydro generation. This artesian well could also be used to cool, say, data servers. Cool water that comes in, flows to the servers, and continue if you have enough water pressure available. But what's more available than water pressure and water energy across the entire subterranean Earth of the planet is the solar charge of heat that is within the ground for the last 4.3 billion years. Now, this continuous charging of the Earth every, 24 hours or so, because they're rotating the Earth, charges the atmosphere, but it also residually charges the ground. It's been doing that since the Earth was here. Now, that's resulted in a 25-mile thick, solid thermal energy battery of stored kinetic energy. Now, the way this energy came into the planet was by the process of conduction. And in other words, this battery was charged by conduction, okay? Now, the way you charge a battery is the way you discharge a battery, okay? In this case, you use conduction, thermal energy, and an air path that starts from a lower elevation to a higher elevation. If you take a path and goes through the ground, sewers, underground, that sort of thing, you can then, or coal mines, cave entrances, and that sort of thing, wherever there's a lower elevation, there's an exhaust at a higher elevation, and that exhaust at a higher elevation is usually 55 degrees. Now, someone asked the question, how would you regulate such a flow into a data center? Well, the quick answer is this, is that it doesn't matter how hot the energy is here. It could be the exhaust of a fighter jet that goes into this intake port right here. But that gaseous heat, that fluid heat, whatever it is, that's injected into this ambient energy chamber system, connected through the underground Earth, the thermodynamic pressure of 55 degrees that has been relentlessly charged over eons is able to leach that heat out and exhaust out cave air into the atmosphere. Now, that is an artesian well of artificial power, okay? Artesian well of water. Water hits the surface, leaches through, goes underground, comes into hydrostatic pressure, aquatic out of hydrostatic pressure by gravity, and is leached out by simply allowing a path. But in this case, you're providing a path from lower elevation to higher elevation. You're using conduction. 55-degree air is now joining with this. And the deal is that warm air rises. Now, one would say, how would you get the system started? Well, quite frankly, in our experiments, simply this elevation difference and the planet's thermodynamics start the process. As you remember with the invention, metal pipe. When you touch this metal pipe, it feels cool. That means that there's heat from your hand, or in my case here, my finger, going into the interior of this pipe. Now that means on the interior of this pipe, it's heated up with heat from my hand that's cooler than that pipe right there. Now, because this pipe is parallel, horizontal, there's no energy moving. However, once you tip the pipe up this way and you continue to hold this, there's a low pressure system here, there's a high pressure system here. And as long as your hand is there, this will continue to draw energy out of my hand to cause kinetic energy flow through the system. And that is how it works here as well. The immense density and thermodynamic pressure of the underground Earth pressurizes energy into the system, takes advantage of elevation differences, warm air rising, and conduction to produce a relentless artesian well of heat energy out of the ground.